Why are you looking at the bread with despair? Why? You wish it was a big mouse?
Hey Lunchables, I thought we could watch the new Foodie Beauty video together, so I think she's changed it up this time. Apparently, instead of sitting on the floor and eating, she's eating and sitting on the floor. So that sounds interesting. Let's have a look.
Now, I thought we'd talk about tipping culture these days. Now, tipping culture is different in every country. Like here, it's a choice. It's not mandatory. And there's some countries that are like, but there's some countries that frown upon tipping. And then there's some countries who it's basically, like, in my opinion, a bit out of control. I think it's gotten out of hand with like 20% of your bill. I don't know. It's just like you're getting tipped extra money to do your job. You know, like you're bringing me a Coke to the table. You're bringing my food from the kitchen to the table. You know, like you're expected to do those things and you're expected to be nice.
All this sounds like to me is that you're broke and you can't afford to tip people even though you're ordering delivery every day.
So don't be super nice and I'll just keep my 20%. You know, 20%, like, I mean, now it's like going up 25%. You see on the thing, you see, you know, some restaurants make it mandatory to tip.
They do that because the staff are only getting paid $5 an hour, so they need those tips to make it up. Why are you so against people in the service industry just being able to actually have a decent life and pay for at least the bare minimum? We can't all be cosplayers on the internet and get money off feeders. Some of us actually respect ourselves.
And the biggest argument I see is, how could you not tip a lot? Waiters only get paid like $4 an hour, $2 an hour. It's not true anymore.
Nothing annoys me more than an overly confident idiot. Thank goodness many places do have a minimum wage that people can just about live off of, even though it's under the living wage. A lot of people, though, still rely on tips. Money is hard for a lot of people at the moment, but if I ever plan a night out to go to a restaurant, I'll always put the amount of money that I'm going to tip into my spending, so that I know exactly what I'm going to be paying. If you spend your last 50 quid on a restaurant visit and you can't even afford to give a tip, then maybe you should have saved that money and gone to the shop and actually made it last a lot longer.
Maybe at one time some waiters, yes, but there's minimum wage, you know? I think minimum wage is different for waiters. Here's the thing, you know what can fix this problem? How about the corporations or the businesses stop using customers to supplement waiters' incomes? Like, that's the problem. A tip is a tip. Something a little extra. Not supplementing the whole the waiter's whole income, like paying them less just so they can get tips. Like, you can't rely, in my opinion, it's wrong to rely on that, especially at rich chain restaurants. Maybe a little mom and pop shop, well, you still have to like budget to pay your waiters well. I mean, people will say don't go out to eat if you can't afford to tip, don't open a store if you can't afford to pay your employees. That's you know what I mean? Like, no, that's just so wrong in my opinion. Growing up, tip used to be so cheap, like $2-3 at the table. Now it's like a whole thing on the transaction. Like, how much do you want to leave? 10, 15, 20. I don't even know if there is a 10 anymore. They keep upping it with, it's like it shouldn't go up with inflation. What the heck?
So all costs should go up apart from tips. The cost of living goes up and the tip should just stay the same. You know, that sounds stupid, right?
And if you don't tip like 20%, you get reamed out by people. Like, you're so cheap. Like, they really give you heck. Also wrong. Maybe the person really can only afford to pay for the meal. And it's not up to the customer to feel guilty that they can't subsidize the waiter's wages.
Just because you're upset that you're not making 20 grand a month anymore doesn't mean you've got to take it out on the service industry.
And I mean that respectfully. I think waitresses and waiters and food servers, they do work hard. I think that you should pay them appropriately. It's a form of customer service. I used to get paid, you know, some places like $12 an hour for customer service. So I'm not cheap, I'm not anti-tipping entirely, but I think it's gone far enough. Like a bit too far with the expectations, you know? Not just like, as Peter Griffin once said, that really grinds my gears. To see people like, what set this all off is I see TikTok videos.
I'm glad you brought up TikTok because I saw this the other day. You're actually charging for a subscription on TikTok when you're so very rarely on there for like $4. Yet people are already paying on here for $2.99. Don't you think that's a bit of a piss take? You say the people shouldn't give tips just because the staff are doing their job, but you're not even doing that. No content and you're still charging people.
And I saw one woman, who saw this clip, it was viral, and she was knocking at the guy's door, and was saying, she brought his delivery, and she was like, are you crazy? Like, do you basically, like, do you know, I'm paraphrasing, do you know how far the restaurant is to your home? It's like 40 minutes, and you only tipped $8? Lady, $8 is a lot. And why take the assignment if it's too far? You can't, like, people are just relying on people tipping. It's so, like, you know, and, like, she was so just ungrateful about it, and, like, only $8. That's, like, symbolizes perfectly how people see tipping nowadays, you know? Like, it's just never enough, it seems. Even if people tip $2, $2, $3, that adds up if you're working a full shift and every table gives you $2 to $3, which that's manageable for people to do, you know? At the end of the day, if you're serving like, you know, it's an extra, let's say an extra 30 to 40 bucks a day, You know, a lot of people don't get 30 to 40 bucks a day over top of their salary just for doing their job.
You sound jealous. Is it because you're not making any money anymore and servers are making a lot more than you?
The woman, or the DoorDash woman who was complaining, took the food back. She just left with the food. I definitely think it's on the employer. Pay them better, you know? Well, some businesses can't afford it. Some customers can't afford it, you know? $2 to $3, yeah. But if you go out to eat and your bill's 80 bucks, that's like, what, over $20 tip? I don't know, I'm bad at math, but it's a huge tip. That's like one meal. So you're tipping a whole meal just to go out and eat? I'll never do that again in my life.
If tipping means that's one less meal you can eat, then I think that's actually a really good thing.
Sorry. I'll get a lot of hate for that because most people are, heck yeah, you should be tipping. I didn't say not to tip. Okay? Because we do. I'm just saying it's out of hand.
I don't really get what you're hoping to achieve from this. Do you want people to have less money than they already do? You're in a very privileged situation. I think you need to understand that most of us aren't.
Did you hear this video? Yes. My baby girl. Do you like bread? I think she does. Here you go. Eat the bread.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
Aaron. So yeah, groceries tonight. Hopefully. And then, grocery haul.
6 days ago, you bought over £10 worth of fruit and vegetables. Unless you're shoving them up your ass, I don't understand where they've gone. Every single night since that day, you've had takeaway. Apart from 3 days ago when you apparently made meatballs, but you didn't even use any of the vegetables that you actually purchased. And that's not even including the 30 eggs that you've brought as well. Even 30 eggs in a few days would be a challenge for someone your size. So where is it all gone and how are you going shopping again?
And then tomorrow, there's something I've been craving and I have to make it.
Obviously your mum never taught you this, so I'm going to. Just because you crave it doesn't mean that you should have it. Remember when you used to crave Nada and you definitely shouldn't have had him.
Why are you looking at the bread with despair? Why? You wish it was a big mouse?
It's nice of you to join us. She's gotten so big.
This shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
So if you got to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. Obviously I mentioned earlier in the week that I've been monetized on this channel, so I'm going to start trying to at least get one full video out a week. I don't really want to set up memberships. It doesn't feel right to be charging, even if it was like 99p, to charge people when I'm not very consistent. So I'm going to try and work on that first, and then maybe that's something I'll look at later. But obviously if you do like the content you've seen, please subscribe and I will speak to you all soon.